alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D Real coming at you with another Be Real with D Real, where edutainment is what I do. I've been doing a lot of movieing this weekend, and I just saw a movie called 65, and I'm surprised, but not for the reasons you think I'm surprised for. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna tell you the particulars and give you my face at the end. But before we do all of that, I need y'all to do what you always do for me. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the Be Real with D-Real page so that when new material comes out, you get it. If you're digging with a brother shoveling, put some dirt in my bucket. Comment, like, subscribe, and share this page right here. Okay, 65. Fresh out of the theater. Don't be food. Actual water. But y'all don't want to sit around and look at my ugly mug the entire time. So I give you somebody else's ugly mug to look at. That guy, Adam Driver, right there. And he is he's the top billed cast of a grand total of 3 people in the cast, 4 if you count his wife. I think this is probably the smallest amount of people I've ever seen in a cast, supporting cast, all that total. 4 people in the entire movie, or at least you only get to see 4 people in the entire movie. So, 65 tells the story of Mills, played by Adam Driver, who is I guess the best way to describe it, an intergalactic courier who transports people in suspended animation from planet to planet, that sort of a thing. And in the beginning moments of this movie, we meet Mills's daughter, Naveen, played by Chloe Coleman, who has a disease that she's dying from. But these deep space runs that he goes on helps him to get credits, money, whatever you want to call it, to help with his daughter's operation. Now, we seem to get the impression at the beginning of this movie that this is some spaceship being launched from Earth and somehow falls in some kind of time parallel or some BS like that. But no, the producers, Scott Beck and Brian Taylor, as you can see from on top of this poster here, are the writers and the producers of the movie A Quiet Place. And if y'all remember A Quiet Place, that was a unique breath of fresh air in the sci-fi game. They hit you with some stuff that you had never seen before. You had to deal with a movie in an entirely different way. And my hat's off to Scott Beck and Brian Taylor in that aspect, because Quiet Place was a banger. I mean, for what it was, it's like, wow, that does deserve a sequel. And it did get a sequel. And the sequel was good too. And the sequel was a prequel, kind of. But I digress. Anyway, 65 tells the story of Mills, played by Adam Driver, who is in an alien society. And this alien society has been around at least 65 million years longer than the Earth's been around, or at least the time that he ends up crash landing on Earth. Yep, you guessed it. From the poster, you can see the outline of what's back on the other side of that waterfall. Oh, dinosaur. Yes, and they don't just run into one type of dinosaur, they run into a couple of types of dinosaurs. And man, do they have problems with these dinosaurs. Anyway, though, his cargo is people in suspended animation. They're in cryo freeze. And he runs into what we now know today as the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter in our solar system. And he takes an asteroid, and that asteroid sends him crashing. Why didn't he crash on Mars? I guess he was in distress long enough that he was able to crash on Earth. Anyway, ends up crashing on Earth. Everybody ends up dying. All the pods dead, gone. That's it. except for this young lady here, who we find out her name is Koa, and Koa is played by Ariana Greenblatt. Who, some of you might ask, Ariana Greenblatt, whom you might recognize a little better as that person right there. Yeah, she played young Gamora in Infinity War. Wouldn't have never knew if I didn't start digging and doing the research. But anyway, Adam Driver is on planet Earth, and planet Earth is populated with dinosaurs. He runs into little dinosaurs. He runs into big dinosaurs. He runs into medium-sized dinosaurs. He's just having a bad day with dinosaurs. And we find out over the course of the movie as the story unravels. Originally, we're thinking he's doing these deep space runs to get money to keep his daughter alive. But while he's on this deep space run, his daughter dies. And so he kind of finds a bit of a kindred spirit in Ariana Greenblatt, in her character, who I find out this child's 15 years old, and she was playing a 9-year-old. But anyway, she does not speak the language we understand. I'm not going to say English, but the language that the race Adam Driver is, whatever language that was they were speaking, she did not speak this language. So they had to find this unique way of communicating, drawing stuff in the sand or dust or giving her hand signals. And they ended up figuring something out where they could communicate well enough. And he had these hollow chips too that he would watch of his daughter, which kept making us think, oh, he's trying to get back to his daughter. But he's looking at it like, oh my goodness, I miss my daughter. And he's got this little girl right there. And it's like, oh, wow, that's really cool. But we don't find that out until later on in the movie. But either way, while he's trying to send out the distress signals and let them know, hey, I'm here and can y'all come and get me and I'm on this planet, so on and so forth. And that's going on. But at the same time, guess what's getting ready to happen? The meteorite that killed the dinosaurs. That thing is hurtling towards Earth. And basically, my man's got to find the other half of the ship that has an escape ship on it that's got enough power to get them off the planet and close enough to a rescue ship. But meanwhile, they're being accosted by dinosaurs and dealing with their emotions. And what I can tell you about this movie is this. I didn't give it the rating that I normally give movies. I gave it a face like this. Yes, I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed this movie thoroughly because, number one, I don't think I've ever seen a movie before where we had people dealing with dinosaurs in this fashion, at least not in this decade. Okay. And it was refreshing. Again, hats off to my man Scott Beck, the writing. It was refreshing. You told a very vivid story with a minimum of words. You see what I'm saying? And again, much like A Quiet Place, wasn't a whole lot of talking going on, but there was a story being told. So, Mills was Adam Driver's character, and Koa, who was Ariana Greenblatt's character, were not of the same ethnicity. And so they didn't share the same language. And so they're both talking and, engaging one another in their own language, but not necessarily communicating with their own language. If that makes sense, just kind of like hand gestures and just kind of things that are universal, gestures, gesticulation, that kind of thing. So again, allowed me to watch that movie in a way that it probably normally wouldn't have been watched. Now, I saw the critic rating for this movie. The critics gave this movie a rating of 35% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that I buy into Rotten Tomatoes, but I'm just saying that's what critics think about this movie, 65. Whereas audience score, 65. A little more admirable. And I can tell you this much. If I have to put a number to it and not a face, 7.5 out of 10. It was a watchable movie. It had a very easy to follow plot, and it wasn't that long. So proof positive, a movie does not have to be 2.5 hours long to be engaging, to be exciting. You can put all the engagement and excitement within an hour and a half, hour 45, however you want to do it. That's the whole point. That you want me at a movie, especially a movie that's sci-fi, you want me in that movie engaged, paying attention to what's being said and what's being done. But since there wasn't a whole lot being said, there was a whole lot getting done. So that was fun to engage in and watch and be a part of as an audience member. You're charging me to do more than just sit in the seat and be a zombie. You're saying you got to get involved. You got to understand the same way Mills' character is learning to understand Koa, the same way Koa is learning to understand Mills. Long story short, even without the dialogue, you're still kind of wondering about, are they both going to get off this planet? But in the end, it's not a Ryan Coogler type thing. Well, I guess it is. There's a little bit of trauma in it, but they don't focus on the trauma, and the trauma isn't what drives the movie. So there you have it. D-Real's opinion. D-Real's let's take a look at, let's talk about, review, recap, whatever you want to call it, of the movie 65, which I recommend. I think it's worth watching. It a little better than Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Ooh, y'all can put that theory to the challenge if y'all want to. Overall, though, I do not think you'd be disappointed if you go check it out. Adam Driver, not normally my cup of tea, but he was fairly engaging, in his role as Mills. I guess it not being much other cast in it allowed him to shine in the way he needed to. Overall, good sci-fi, unique concept, unique idea. I recommend it. That's it for now. But fret not, I will be coming at you with another one of the other ones. And until I do, y'all be good. Be good to each other.